Get your hiking boots on. It's Welcome to Mystara with Mr. Welch. This week's adventure is B8, Journey to the Rock. This is the second to the last of the B series left to be reviewed, and it's also one of the shortest. This is the only B series module that's entirely a wilderness adventure. It's also very much a tournament module, and it is one of the quickest modules to play because while it's the same size as the other modules, it's 3 separate routes to the same location and you don't double back. So you get to play a third of the module at one sitting. Throw in a nonsensical plot, and there's a reason why this module isn't very well regarded. The module was written in 1984 by Michael Malone. This was his only credit I could find for TSR. It's known for being packed with new monsters, as well as a lot of monsters in total. It's one of the common complaints of the module. It's a total grind. You get to the mission, you get picked one of the 3 paths, and off you go. Then you just kill everything between you and the end of the path that's the module. You've got veteran players, you can speedrun this module in a night. It's that simple of an adventure. It reads like something you would get out of a dungeon magazine. The start of the module is pretty simplistic. You're walking along, a merchant rides up, hires you, you go to a manor, and you get the adventure synopsis. And it's not much of a synopsis to follow, it's pretty much a fetch quest. There's a lot of background to the module. It's half a page, actually, and it's all wasted. There's a story about a lost city that's been banished to another plane of existence, and the only way to restore it after thousands of years of exile is to go to the rock and bring back the MacGuffin. So what's supposed to be an epic quest to return a city lost, banished from the world boils down to a simple quest up a single path by a bunch of beginning level characters. I don't think too hard about that one. So you got 3 paths to pick from. What's the difference? Well, there's no way to tell at the start of the path. You come to the 3-way junction and you get to pick one at random. There's the west path, the north path, and the south path. There's nothing stopping you from doubling back, but in practice, once you've started along the path, the adventure is set. The trails never merge until the very, very end, so treat each one as their own little mini adventure. There's actually 2 endings as well. The DM gets to pick which one. The endings are the same, it's just one has combat and the other doesn't. Each path is 6 or 7 encounters. Most of them have an unavoidable combat and encourage wandering monsters because they have some pretty heavily populated bad guy charts. They tend to have some sort of challenge you can avoid, with the party running along a toll booth or a large tribe demanding tribute. Those challenges are intentionally overpowered. Choosing to fight is the bad idea. The southern path takes you to the ghostly city, which makes the most interesting, even if it's because of a magic setting. The actual encounter is just a whole bunch of saving throws with no damage, just several party members running in fear. So once you get past the half-dozen encounters, all paths lead to the rock. You'd think there would be an epic encounter waiting for you to free the lost city of Tuma, but no, it's just a single encounter straight out of a bad 80s film. Anyone who has a lick of common sense isn't going to fall for the ploy. Even the most randy bard is going to see this trap for what it is. You walk up the path, there's a mostly naked lady chained to a rock begging for the party to free her. No monster around, no obvious reason why she's chained there. If that doesn't scream trap, what does? I would call this a spoiler, but it's so bloody obvious it doesn't even make for a good jump scare. So after the monster reveals itself and you defeat her, you go to the next encounter, and that's where the endings come into play. Ending A is the combat ending. You walk into the room and suddenly the statues animate and attack. Kill the statues, win the game. Ending B is the puzzle ending. It's another obvious puzzle because it was duplicated in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Now the module predates the movie by 5 years, so you can assure the players the puzzle wasn't ripped off from the movie. But you come across a bunch of fancy items and one plain one, and they tell you to pick the right one. The answer is always the plain one. Seriously, it's a dead giveaway. Only this scene doesn't have the awesome Julian Glover to showcase what happens when you pick the wrong item. How is that man not more famous? Seriously, he's been in Star Wars, Doctor Who, James Bond, Game of Thrones, and of course Indiana Jones. I even interviewed him once. He didn't even try out for the role of the main bad guy in Last Crusade. They called him up and offered him the job. He's just a classic British villain who doesn't get enough credit. If you see him at a convention, go up and squee on him. He's been a major part of geekdom for decades, and it's a shame he's not considered a major draw. That sounds like I'm rambling. You're right. I'm trying to do a review for a module with at most 9 scripted encounters. The average adventure in a dungeon magazine has more encounters than Journey to the Rock. Every other module I've reviewed, when I finally got through the meat of the module, I'd written out at least 3 pages of notes. I'm just now over a page, not right now. This is going to be the shortest review by far because there's nothing to talk about. Seriously, Kill Bargle in Dungeon Magazine 150 is half the page count and double the adventure, at least. So I'm not going to pad this review. It's ridiculously short and there's not much in the way of a plot. It's barely a one-shot. You have nothing planned for the night, but this might keep the players entertained, but it's more of a distraction than a module. Parts of it are well written, but there's not enough parts to make for a good adventure. By the time you've gotten into the module, it's over. You can increase the length by stringing the paths together, but even then it's just a slog. If you want to buy the module, it's $30 for a hard copy. It's a bit of a rare module, even though it's not that much in demand. From the old reviews, it wasn't well received back then either. If you want to get the PDF, that's $5 on the usual sites. I recommend the PDF, probably for the first time ever. The module just is not worth $30. There's not enough material in it to justify that price tag. You can snag it on sale or an actual auction on eBay, put in a low bid and hope for the best. That's Journey to the Rock. It's a short diversion with a generic plot hook. This is a stripped out, glorified adventure hook. It introduces a slew of new monsters: the Sand Spider, the Chronic Chaos, Chameleon Men, the Winged Warrior, Rock Men, Ghostly Horde, and the Water Weird. But you won't encounter all of them because they were split evenly among the paths. To make the module even faster, you're given horses at the start of the module. That's it. That's the module. If you want to convert this to 5th edition, it's pretty much plug and play. Most of the monsters you need to convert to 5th edition because they aren't in that edition. If you want, just replace them with 5e monsters to fit the bill. If you want to set it in Mystara, it's obviously meant to be placed in Yalarum from the art design, but even then it's not a good fit because the Lost City predates Blackmoor, which screws with the timeline. So next week I'm going to finish out the B series with Castle Caldwell and Beyond. It's an anthology module and a shout out to the classic artist Clyde Caldwell. Then I'll start working on the last of the companion level modules and you go back into the accessories, and then we get to the Master and the Immortal probably. So until next time, is it just me or is General Veer standing way too close to Vader in this shot?